Looking at the reports this week, the stripers and the white bass are on fire in freshwater, as well as the crappie and the catfish. All you anglers like to go into saltwater. Red snappers and the redfish are everywhere. So if you want to know more, listen up, because it's time for the Texas Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
You're watching the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We've got quite the show for you and the family because, after all, summer is officially kicking off the 21st and Father's Day is this weekend. So naturally, Rick, we're talking all about taking the kids fishing, which is a technique all on its own.
Absolutely, it certainly is, Brie. And you know, speaking of kids, you know, this past week, the Bassmasters Classic was in the Upper Fresh region, Johnny Geis's region.
Yeah.
And we sent my kids, Colin went with his girlfriend, and Ridge's girlfriend, and Kathy and Collie B that worked for us. And we met a lot of great guys, the Skeeter Pro Staff and Yamaha Pro Staff, Scotty Martin. They signed autograph and gave away Texas Insider Fishing Report bags to the kids. Aww. And they were wearing them everywhere. Also, the Berkeley guys were there, and they were cheering on their guy as well. And the winner of the Bassmasters Classic 2 years in a row, whoop, whoop. Berkeley Pro Staff, Hank Cherry. Good
Go
job, Hank. Congratulations. We were rooting for you, bud.
That's awesome. It sounds like a good time. So, Dave, besides all the great food you ate, did you also have a good time?
Yeah, and I should have put money on Hank, man. I knew he was going to win. I knew it. I saw the first day, and I was thinking, man, he's going to win. He was just in that perfect position where he could come and take it, and he did. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, we're kicking off summer in the Fish Bites Upper Coast region with Captain Carl Weston, who's ready to give us an update for the fun weekend ahead. So go for it, Carl.
Hey guys, yeah, we have had awesome weather for the second week in a row. So everybody's been able to work on their tans. And as you were saying, this episode we're talking about kids, and it was funny. Headed out all week on the beaches and near the jetties. I saw families fishing with the kids, and they would wave, and it's just a fun atmosphere. It's always fun to take kids fishing, and we're going to talk a little bit today about black drum, because it's a fish you can catch from the shore, from the jetties, from the boat, and kids have a lot of fun with them, especially kids that are a little older, 10, 12, 13-year-old. These fish get pretty big, and you can catch them. What's neat about a black drum is they cover our whole region. These guys will be up in the grass tailing with their back out of the water, and in the same week I'll catch them offshore in 100 foot of water. Great bait for them, cracked crab. They love live shrimp. They like cut bait. And they're just, like I say, they're big fish that kids love to catch. We have a picture this week of Logan and his dad with a really big black drum that they caught on the beach.
Nice.
Wow. It's a big one.
All right, what else you got?
Moving right over, redfish is another species of fish that's tailor-made for the kids. You go out in the boat, you throw a popping cork with a live shrimp on it. You teach them to cast, a little topwater, crankbait action. It's always awesome for them. And once again, they're all over our whole area. We start from the backwaters. We catch little fish back up in the grass tailing. Down in the rivers, out in the oyster flats, we catch these fish, live bait, artificial. Right now they're running on the oyster reefs really heavy. Along the jetties, they're still looking for that clean water, Rick, like we were talking about. We still have a big influx of fresh water coming from the rivers from all the rain in Fort Worth and Dallas coming down our way. But and on the beachfront, we still have bull reds, and they're always a lot of fun for kids as well. So take your kids fishing inshore, two great species to chase. And today we got a picture of Gabby with a really pretty redfish.
All right, man, let's go offshore.
Moving offshore, we've been talking about the different varieties of snapper for the last couple of weeks, and we'll talk about mangrove snapper today. And these fish are a lot of fun to catch. They're a little harder to track down like some of the others, but they're always on structure. They're always easiest to catch on live bait. Live shrimp is a plus, small hardshell crab, cut fresh bait, and we use live pogies a lot too. On structure, say you're fishing on an oil rig, try to get inside the legs with a bait, drop it down. Just add to your bag limit. It's one of those things that you're only allowed 2 red snapper in our area. Go catch the mangrove. We talked about lane snapper. We've talked about vermilion snapper. All these fish you're going to catch in the same areas that you'll catch your red snapper, and all you're going to change is your rig. Like we've talked about, these other snapper like mangrove have very good eyes. So I use a Diamond Maboy 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. I use the smallest hook I can use, a small eagle claw hook. They're laser sharp with a shrimp. It's money. Like I said, get it on structure and your money. I believe we have a picture of a nice one Tosh caught this week today.
Man, that is a nice one. Good job.
We'll roll right into kingfish, guys. We've been talking about for the last few weeks, and they're still hot. We're catching bigger fish from the beaches all the way out. Just wanted to keep that theme because, once again, this is a fish for our older kids that is a lot of fun to catch. Trolling, drifting. When you get into a good school, it's fast, it's furious. It keeps our attention. We run some half-day charters in this area. You can run out, catch some snapper, drift the same spot that you're on your snapper. That same structure is going to hold bait, is going to hold kingfish. You look on your Garmin, about halfway to the top of the water column, you're going to see a long, skinny mark. Usually that's kingfish. Just put a dead cigar minnow on, troll it out there on a treble hook with a wire leader, and it's action.
Tell us about the picture, Carl.
JT with a nice kingfish from this last week.
All right, man, we got to go. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the R&R tackle hotspots from the Upper Coast region. He says that inshore, the black drum in the grass flats throwing a cracked crab on a laser sharp 6-0 Eagle Claw circle hook. And then offshore, the mangrove snapper fishing offshore structure with live shad or shrimp with Diamond Mamoy fluorocarbon leader.
All right, Matt Reed has the secret when it comes to getting the kids on the water and keeping them there. So Matt, tell us how you're going to get the youngins on their fish in the lower fresh region.
Sounds like a deal. The most important thing is that we take kids fishing, and once you take them, they have to have action. You know, heck, start off with them, you know, fishing for bluegill or something like that. Get you a bucket of worms or some crickets under a bobber and go to a marina or something, or a stock pond, anything. Just get them a bunch of bites. That makes them excited, and they want to keep coming. White bass are another great target in the summer because they surface school a bunch. You can catch them on just about anything you want to throw out there, artificial, you know, the shad imitations. That's a great target for kids. But you know, later on, they'll evolve into targeting a certain species, a tougher species, you know, largemouth or crappie or catfish. They'll specialize in something, but let them choose when it's time to start fishing for largemouth bass, because the action's going to be slower, but they'll get to where they enjoy it. But the key to start with is to get them bit so they'll come back.
All right, tell us about the largemouth
roll
bass.
on into the largemouth bass in that southern region. Mike Bates sent me a report for Choke Canyon. The lake has finally stabilized after coming up about 7 feet with our rains. The hydrilla is growing really fast. There's areas that had no grass that the grass is nearly to the top now, which will be great for the fishing. The fish have mostly all moved shallow now because with the new habitat, the bait has gone shallow. So get shallow in the shallow cover, put your trolling motor down and cover water with spinnerbait, swim bait, chatterbait, top water, any of that type of thing is working well. You know, just keep going. When you get in an area where you get some bites, there's probably going to be a bunch of them there. Like Amistad, the fishing is really great right now. Fish the hydrilla is the biggest key. Throw a swim jig or top water over the shallow grass early. Later, move out to the outside edge of that hydrilla in that 12 to 17 foot range and throw a swim bait or a drop shot, and you'll catch a bunch out there later in the day, and there'll be some good ones mixed in. Greg Boyd sent me a report from Somerville. The bass are biting really well shallow. The lake's really high. It's about 6 feet high. They're up in the shallow cover biting a frog and a buzzbait, also flipping into flooded brush. Fish the west end of the lake for the best bite. 3 to 5 foot deep water in the bushes with the green pumpkin flipping baits. And also you want to throw that same white frog in the area. Fayette County is consistently fishing well. Still some good solid fish early along the reeds with a swim jig or chatterbait. Later move on out on the drop-offs and road beds with a Carolina rig or heavy shaky head. And you'll load up on them out on those drops. Green pumpkin is the best color for your soft plastics. Watermelon candy also works great. Brian Cotter sent me a report from Lake Travis. Been fishing really well early in the morning in the marinas. Off the shad in the marinas, and the bass are schooling. Throw a walking top water. It is a great way to catch them. If they miss your top water, throw a little swim bait out and just let it fall. They'll pick it up as it falls on a slack line. Later in the day, pick up a Texas rig and go up shallow. The lake has come up quite a bit, so there's quite a bit of cover up there. Throw your Texas rig in that heavy cover to catch those better bass shallow. Lake Buchanan has had the same issue. Water's come up, which gives a lot of cover, up in that shallow green vegetation, rocks and trees, all type of stuff up there shallow. Throw a crawl worm in it or a straight tail worm. And the largemouth have been biting really well. Got a picture there. I've got 4 pictures of kids. I had the privilege of working 2 sessions of Kurt Dove's Pro Bass Camp for Kids in the last 10 days. These are some pictures from those kids, just for our days on the water. I do that every year, and it's such an enjoyable thing to take the youngsters out and let them have a blast and hopefully, teach them for our future.
All right.
That's awesome.
We appreciate you doing that, Matt. We're going to talk about the kids show throughout tonight, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the FiberTech Lower Fresh hotspots. He said Lake Amistad is fishing great. The bass are active on shallow hydrilla and rock points early on top waters. Later, then you want to concentrate in 12 to 17 foot in the deep hydrilla edges with swim baits and Texas rig soft plastics to keep them going all day.
All day. All right, we're seeing where the Father's Day action will be in the Alvey Reels Lower Coast region coming up. But first, Dave is giving us some action tips and tricks for rigs and techniques at the workbench. Dave?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Texas High School Bass Association and how you can get involved in getting these boys out on the water.
Love it.
Perfect.
Good
We'll be
job,
back.
Dave.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Bajío. Fresh eyes for a rich life. Garmin. Plot your paradise. FiberTech. Leaders in fiberglass fabrication and repair. Sportsman's Adventures. Fishing for adventure. Penn. Let the battle begin. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
Your time on the water is precious. You return season after season to make unforgettable memories, fight a few fish, reconnect with friends, and recenter yourself. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters stay with Yamaha for the long run, for life. They know reliability starts here.
Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Kick your gas into gear with StarTron.
For the Bay and beyond, team up with the best and rule the Bay in a Skeeter. Proven with 20 consecutive NMMA Consumer Satisfaction Awards. And now, through June 21st, you can launch into your summer with sizzling rebates of up to $2,500. Versatility, control, performance, and design. The Skeeter Summer Sizzling Savings Event is happening now through June 21st. Visit your local dealer or online at SkeeterBoats.com. Skeeter, it's more than just a boat, it's a lifestyle.
Have you ever felt your heart pounding while feeling the power of a tarpon in the Florida Keys? Or experienced the changing colors of a mahi as you bring it on board? Whether it's in the Bahamas, the Florida Keys, Guatemala, or the Florida Everglades, Murphy's Law Sports Fishing has the ability to guide you to the fish of a lifetime. To book your trip today, call 305-246-0673 or go to murphyslawsportfishing.com.
Well, we're here at the workbench, and Dave, you're going to tell us how these kids can become more involved.
Yeah, I've decided to change it up a little bit. I usually come up here and talk when it's kids' show, and talk about some of the things that the captains have been talking about, how to, keep the kids interested and all that kind of stuff. And I thought this time I'd try to, talk a little bit about the older kids and how to keep those guys interested in what they're doing. And I found out about the Texas High School Bass Association. It's, I knew about it, but it's been around for about 8 years now, and it's starting to really get, a lot of traction in the state of Texas and actually all around the United States. All these schools now are starting to get bass fishing teams, especially, all throughout the Southeast and on the East Coast and all the way out to Texas now too. So they've been doing it for 8 years. Like I said, they got like 275 high schools in Texas involved in this program. Like 3,000 kids. This is going to be their 8th year. The Matt Tolnay, the CEO, I talked to him today. He's the tournament director there, and he runs like 9 divisions. So he's got a lot of work, that fella. I know I've run one tournament before. He runs like 50 a year. And what it is they make 2-man teams. You can have as many teams as you want at your school. That's unrestricted. Some of these high schools, big high schools, have up to 100 kids in the club. So, everybody gets to join. The only requirement is you have to be passing all your enrolled classes to be, to compete in the tournaments and whatnot.
Nice.
Which is, a good incentive to make sure that the kids, stay in school and get out there and do what they're doing. The hardest part about the whole deal is trying to get enough people to donate their time and their boats for the events. A lot of kids don't have their own boats, so, they need like 10 or 12 boats per event. There's no requirements that the captain or the guy who's donating his time has to do. He has to do a Safe Texas Boating program, and that's it. So he doesn't have to be a licensed guide or a captain or anything. He just ferries the kids around, and goes where they tell him to go. And
they tell the
because they're the ones fishing in the tournament. He's just a boat driver, really. And that's the hardest part. It's about it would be great for. I'd love to do that personally. Not only will you learn the lake, but you can learn from those kids. I imagine. I imagine these kids are pretty serious about it. So, yeah, exactly.
How about a kid that just came through the ranks that we went to the Bassmaster Classic in 16, Jordan Lee?
Exactly.
You think he's making it?
Yeah.
He wins the Classic 2 years in a row.
What's really great about this, too,
ranks.
they've give away $500,000 a year in scholarships.
Awesome.
Already, guaranteed $3,000 per tournament. And they do 50 tournaments a year. A majority of them are in North and East Texas, but they have teams from Odessa and Midland. Make big drives all over, to get to these events. It's $50 a team. What's really cool is that these kids get to meet from all over the state. Kids who would never meet get to meet up and share, information and share their love of fishing. And a lot of them go on to compete in college. And, colleges are getting into the bass fishing huge now. They've got all kinds of leagues. They've got the new Collegiate College League coming up next spring, for this. And it's going to be a Texas Lakes only. They have a couple of them already, Bass Nation, and another one that does, college events all over the state. But this is going to be a Texas regional one, so that the kids don't have to go all over the place for, then they'll have a few here in Texas. There's only like 2 in the lakes in Texas here, but now there's going to be more coming up next spring. So, you have all these major colleges now giving 4-year scholarships. This is just another way that kids can get outdoors and get fishing and, maybe earn a, good chunk of money to go to college.
Where do they go to find out more information?
Go to thsba.net. That's the Texas High School Bass Association.
Say that one more time.
thsba.net.
All right. What do you think, Brie?
And for the little ones, all you need is action and snacks.
That's right.
In a nutshell, that's all you need. All right, the love for fishing starts at the very beginning. So let's see how the tots start in the Alvey Reels Lower Coast region with Captain Chad Kinney. Talk kids to us, Chad.
I sure will. I'll tell you what, got some good fishing reports, got some good little techniques, but the kids stuff is always my favorite. I've got 3 daughters, nephews, all their stuff, and I love fishing kids. So
just a few tips on fishing the kids. It's where it all starts is where I started. I started fishing off banks, canals, any water puddle I could possibly find that didn't even have a fish in it. I'd throw anything in it. And now I guide plenty of families, and kids. And my main suggestion is just keep them interested. Everybody's wanting fast, immediate response now, so don't grind them out on it. Just that's my personal opinion. Go fish hard, fish lures, fish bait. Go to the beach, do stuff. Keep their the tennis span right there where it needs to be on the outdoors there. And once they get hooked on a bass or a crappie, which I'm not a freshwater guy, I'm the saltwater guy, but I guarantee you, in my world, when they do the snapper all the way up to a blue marlin, it's an unforgettable event for them. They can cherish it the whole way through, and hopefully they pass it on to the next generation. So the main thing is, like I said, take the kids fishing wherever you start, whether it's a bank or you got a boat, any possible way to get them out there. And that's the whole thing. It's a good family thing. It's a way to do it, and I guarantee it's a way to go. So I got a photo here of my daughter. So my daughter now is in college. She's 19. I've got another one, but this is Megan. And you can see she's got a Penn Warfare combo there, and she's bent over on a 12-pound snapper, but she's doing better than I probably would. She's actually got her hands right and everything else, and got that bowl working her. So that was a good memory I put on there for it. So moving over to the fishing reports, redfish along the lower coast. It's getting kind of redundant, but it's where they're at, and that's what we're here to tell you where the fish are at. So they're around the jetties. Calmer seas been really helpful here lately. Looks like it might start blowing possibly in the lower coast area here this weekend. We'll see what happens. But same thing, fish those washout, the edges, live bait, live croaker, live mullet, cut bait's working. The fish bites are working, like I mentioned, with the Carolina rigs, works really good. You get some trolling motors, rank up, and hit those eddies and everything else working through there. And look for the tidal change movement, which I mentioned. If that current's really ripping one way or the other, wait for it to change. As soon as that change starts, that's when you pick up your key bites. Moving to the offshore, snapper fishing remaining really, really good, with some kingfish and some cobia have actually started to show up, which is a good sign. So we're starting to see some different stuff offshore, and I'm expecting to see some blue water moving in. It's way, way out right now, but as soon as it does, I can tell everybody when it's coming and where it's at. So federal snapper season's in effect. Plenty of good snapper out there. But here's the key thing. So I got lots of guys last year, if you're watching the show, I was telling you about the shallower, there's a crab hatch, and it happens usually in June. You never know exactly what day. What that means is that if you go to your favorite spot, you haven't been there for 6 years, somebody didn't pick your spot clean or nothing else like that. It's that they're gorging on these crabs. And so what happens is that they're going to keep on feeding on these crabs until they get to about a 50-cent size or bigger. Then you go back to your fish and any bait you want to, and you'll start catching them again. So what you got to do is move around, probably use some eagle claw jigs, just thumb through it. It's just not going to be as fast action as what you guys are usually normally to. And what you can do on this is also either go way up shallow on the beach, which we have some good spots here in Port Mansfield. A lot of places don't. You got to run a lot farther. With the lower coast you can. Or when you find that crab hatch, go out deeper out into the federal waters, 150, 250 feet on out, and it'll work. So cobia started to show up here. You never know when they're going to be around, but definitely they're going to be around usually some wrecks or rigs or while you're snapper fishing. So the best tip I can say is chum some bait out while you got it. Have an eagle claw, 5 to 7 knot circle hook, dark one, get it ready to go. And once the cobia is spotted up in the chum, just pin a little bit enough bait. Don't change the bait size. Just change what you got there. Free line it out there. Let it run for about 10, 20, 30 feet. Slowly tighten the line up and let them run, and you'll have a heck of a good fight. We got a picture of a good solid, probably 50 to 60 pound cobia here that Whitney Thicklin caught.
Nice, Chad.
Woohoo.
All right, bud, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the shallow sport boats hotspot from the lower coast region. He says inshore, the lower coast jetties still remain good for redfish on the washout and the tide changes. And then offshore, state and federal water snappers, fishing remains good with some cobias starting to show up, Brie.
Well, the truck is still here, which means this is your weekly reminder that if you would like a chance to win this 1952 Chevy 3100 hot rod we have here in the studio, it's beautiful. All you have to do is purchase raffle tickets at ccaflorida.org/hot rod. How about that? All right, the Upper Fresh and Garmin Middle Coast regions are up next on the Texas Insider Fishing Report, Kids Edition, so stay hooked. And we'll be back. And to keep up with everything fishing in Texas, make sure to head on over to our website, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and to see new fishing adventures along with reports, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy. See you soon.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Contender Boats, always in the game. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Alvy Reels, a better way to fish. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Penn, let the battle begin.
The Yamaha VMAX V6 SHO continues to deliver the level of performance that pro bass and multi-species anglers demand. Underneath a bold and aggressive new look, an upgraded charging system with 40% more charging power meets the amped-up demand for today's advanced electronics. The VMAX SHO, raw power, reliability, and exhilarating performance for every angler who loves the sport enough to invest in the best. Yamaha, reliability starts here.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites. We are the Fish Bites Nation, and this is your invitation. So grab some fish bites and get busy casting, because you can't join the nation without doing the catching. Ask for Fish Bites or Fish Bites Fight Club lures, or visit fishbites.com.
For many boat owners, there comes a time for a big decision. Should you upgrade your boat or upgrade your outboard? Some love the way their boat rides and wouldn't trade their hull for anything, so repowering is a consideration. Some don't have a choice and have to repower their vessel just to stay on the water. The advantages of repowering are many. First and foremost, there is the financial aspect. Not only can you extend the life of your boat, but you can improve the value and spend considerably less money. Also, upgrading to a 4-stroke means better fuel economy and a sizable cost savings per hour of operation. Plus, you have peace of mind that your new motor is covered under Yamaha's limited warranty. For this installation, Tommy, a Yamaha certified mechanic, is replacing a 2002 Yamaha 150 horsepower 2-stroke with a brand new Yamaha inline 200 horsepower 4-stroke. Even though the Yamaha 2-stroke is almost 2 decades old, it still lives up to its reliability and runs like a champ. In fact, it's already sold and ready to start its second life. One of the great things about repowering with the Yamaha outboard is that the transom mounts haven't changed, so no patching fiberglass or drilling new holes. Also, even though there is a 50 horsepower increase, the weight difference is only a few pounds. One of the reasons for this is because some of the components from the 2-stroke, like the oil transfer case, are not needed and can be recycled to the new owner. But it's not just the motor that can be upgraded. Genuine Yamaha parts like the throttle controls, ignition and cutoff switch, and gauges can be switched out quickly and give your boating experience a whole new feel. This repower took Tommy only about 10 hours, and before you know it, he's got the boat in the water and giving the motor its first crank to start breaking it in.
What do you think, Brie?
I think that looks pretty good. I'd repower.
You've been repowered, I can tell.
I've been repowered. Oh, Lord. All right, we're always seeing big catches from the youngsters in the upper fresh region, so let's see if Johnny Geis has any secrets to getting the kids on the water and hooking up to their PB. Talk to us, Johnny.
I sure do, Rick and Bree. Hey, the kids, we're talking about them, all of us tonight, about taking youngsters. You know, not every guide really enjoys when the kids get in the boat, but, man, they're some of my favorite trips. So I've got 5 tips I like to share when I have kids aboard. and it works out. So number one, be sure not to make the trip too long. If they tire out or lose interest, don't keep them out all day, or they and yourself will be pretty miserable. So number two, you always target something easy to catch. I like to start them out catching bluegill, catfish, or white bass, and it's best if they get in that action pretty quick when they get in the boat. So always have your light action spin cast or spinning reel rigged up for the kids. Keep the bait and equipment simple. Number four, take along plenty of snacks and refreshments. Have some good eats and candy aboard. And number five, be sure to have plenty of patience when the kids are in the boat. Make their fun trip. Make a big deal out of any fish they catch and take pictures. Make it a memorable trip, and everybody will have a great time. Another guy that likes to take kids is old Matt Cartwright. Let's talk about some stripers over on Tawakoni right now. Matt's reporting that Tawakoni's on fire. He has his customers limited out almost every morning with stripers, big stripers and hybrids, and then it's time for catch and release until those big fish move out and suspend. He then starts looking for schools of sand bass. The customers enjoy the fast action of the white bass provide and usually catch limits of sand bass too. So he's having to use the big gizzard shad though to catch the big stripers and hybrids. Matt uses his Garmin side view to locate and mark the pods of big stripers. Matt usually catches fish on artificial lures, he says, by this time of the year, but with water temps still right around the high 70s, the big stripes are staying deep, and they're only hitting the live bait the best. So Matt still believes we've got a good topwater bite coming, and good fishing should last throughout the summer on Tawakoni. The sand bass are also big over at Tawakoni, and the customers get their limited stripers. This back up to those mega schools of white bass, and you can get 25 a person. If you want to have a great time and catch a lot of fish, give Matt Wright a call on Tawakoni. Here's a picture of a happy family talking about kids with some big fish. Look at the smiles of the big fish with this picture.
That's so awesome. I love it.
What you got next, Johnny?
Hey, we got some channel catfish on Lake Fork, and man, another species that kids like to catch. I mainly report on bass and crappie and white and so forth, but the channel catfish bite's also real good. Several guys specialize in catfish trips and bait up holes with cattle cubes. We commonly call them range cubes here. This draws in hundreds of fat channel catfish to a specific area, and it makes for some fast action. My good friend Stubby Stovefield, he guides for catfish and makes his very own Stubby's Cheese catfish bait, sells it locally around Texas. His bait's about the consistency of cookie dough, and you just make a ball around a number 4 treble hook, drop it without lead onto the bottom, and usually before the line gets to the bottom, you'll have a catfish on. Guide buddy Shannon Wheeler also works with Stubby, takes out group trips in his Catfish Cadillac, a comfortable pontoon boat. Group trips for catfish are a lot of fun and great outing for families and kids. The guide baits your hook, takes off the catfish, cleans and bags your catch. Stubby keeps several holes baited up so you can fish in just about any wind direction. Here's a picture of a recent catfish trip, and I think old Shannon and Stubby may still be at the cleaning table with this mess of catfish.
Wow.
Oof.
All right, quickly on the bass.
We're going on to these old big bass here at Fork, and I've been waiting for it to happen, but it's finally started. They started moving to their summertime holes. Start out early at daybreak here if you want to catch a few bass on top waters. Still got a little bit of shad spawn going on, but as soon as that bite slows, move offshore to these extended points. Try some drop shot rigs and football jigs. The schools are usually located right next to a deep drop, and the best places are where there's a really deep water close by. The best bite changes daily. You have to keep moving until you find a school of bass that's already moved up to feed. Here's a picture of friend Rowdy Starnes last week with a big old 9.54 Lake Fork giant. We caught last week, and they are turning on. Hey, summertime's here. Man, it's got hot on Fork today. It was 98 degrees, and the weather will be getting hot every day from here on through the summer. So it's time to go fishing. Take the kids out with you. Show them how much fun fishing can be. Just be sure to take that sunscreen. Plenty of refreshments. Let's go catch it.
All right, Johnny, we got Stubby's catfish bait on the new products tonight, so we'll be checking that out in a minute. Lake Tawakoni, he says, the big stripers and hybrids are being caught early on live baits, and whites are hitting slabs on the smaller swim baits. And then Maine Lake Humps and Points is the best place to fish at this time. On Lake Fork, the big bass, crappie, and channel cats are turned on. Top water's early for bass, and then heavy jigs and Carolina rigged plastics, minnows for crappies, and cheese baits for those cats. Cheese baits.
And the catfish Cadillac. I hope it's spelled C-A-T. Cadillac. That'd be good, right?
C-A-T.
Yeah. Let's check in with the big Grimes in the Garmin Middle Coast region, because I know he's got the kiddos stoked on catching some fish for the summer. So talk to us, Bank.
We probably see more kids in the boat in June than any other month. I had all kinds of youngsters on the boat this week. We drifted over Deep Shell with Bass Assassins and found good trout in West Matagorda Bay. The week prior, we worked reefs with live shrimp for loads of black drum. The key is just keeping that attention focused on safe casting and a lot of bent rods. It's a great time to teach these kids boater safety, etiquette, and even better time to model what catch and release looks like for Texas, especially after the freeze. You know, keep the crackers rolling, the chips, the cold drinks flowing. It's okay to eat like that when they're on the boat. It's summertime after all. School's out for the summer. Lately, with our trout, Layton has been the best bet to beat the heat. Sand and grass shorelines along West Matagorda Bay has held scatter catches on trout and top waters and soft plastic. Fort O'Connor, that top water bite's been good. Live bait's been best a little later in the day. Waders are working the flats next to Pascovile where the best tidal flow occurs. Sand and grass in San Antonio Bay and Espiritu Santo Bay are holding good trout as well. Those fish are slicking coming off the shorelines, and it's really telling us where those trout are. East Matagorda Bay coughed up some good trout this week. Live shrimp has been a commodity with all the fresh water, so a lot of folks have been top waters, Bass Assassins, and Little Johns lately. Light winds this week, it's allowed us to get back in the surf. When we get to the beach, man, we kind of just drop everything we're doing. If you got to go to work the next day, you call in sick. You go throw a top water, throw a mirror lure in the first and second guts, and there's just something about a top water or a mirror lure strike in the surf. The Rockport and the Port Aransas area has been seeing good catches over sand and grass lately. That's not to say you can't catch them on live bait there. It's been good, but it's been so much better on top waters, those Berkeley Jaywalkers and Corkies here lately. Photo there, that's a group of kids. We threw Bass Assassins there last week in West Matagorda Bay and had a heck of a time. They just got out for the summer, man. It's just great to get those kids on the boat. Redfish action, lots of bull reds are being caught at the Fort O Jetty on finger mullet, table shrimp, and crabs while drifting baits in about 35 foot of water. The same holds true around the Freeport and Surfside jetties, especially right now. Our greenest tides of the year are coming through. I mean, it's just really, really good there on the beachfront. Matagorda tides dropped a little bit this week. It's pushing redfish off our shoreline. Tides will gradually begin to drop later on this month and into July. And what it does, it sends those reds are usually in the back lakes. It sends them out to the middle of East Matagorda Bay where they start schooling. You just look for slicks and get right behind them and drift right behind them. In Freeport, the beachfront and jetty is holding redfish on shrimp. And Mike Siegel, he's been working the first and second guts and catching lots of big reds, and he's also getting a shark every other cast as well. Offshore, kingfish begin to show while trolling. Majority of anglers are still targeting red snapper. I mean, our seas are running 1 to 2 foot all week, and I'm telling you, there are boat after boat after boat going out and getting their snapper. Most of them are going at least 20 miles out and catching their limits. Mike Quebeca says, man, those daytime swords are also out there. He's working those hilltops about 80 miles out. It's been a good week in the Garmin Middle Coast region. We're looking forward to another great week of lighter winds. We ask you again, please consider catch and release of our speckled trout. And please, please be good stewards of our bays and estuaries.
All right, bud. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the mirror lure hotspots from Middle Coast region. He says the trout are best while drifting with Bass Assassins over the Deep Shell in East Matagorda Bay. Redfish are good on Port O'Connor Jetty on fresh shrimp and mullet. What do you think?
All right, well, we're signing up for summer fun in the Startron Middle Fresh region when we return. But first, we're seeing what kind of new products Dave has for us at the workbench for the last-minute Father's Day gift or summer gear for the kids, or even that.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's going to stink. Have fun, Rick. I'll be way over here. We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miralure. Diamond Fishing Products. Our reputation is on the line. R&R Tackle. From our tackle box to yours. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Startron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems.
An entirely new species of extreme predator is moving offshore. The Yamaha 5.6-liter V8 XTO Offshore Outboard. Extreme big block thrust and power in the industry's first direct injection 4-stroke. Quiet, efficient, powerful, and proven Yamaha reliability. More than an outboard, it's a fully integrated power system. The all-new Yamaha V8 XTO Offshore.
The only reel with over 100 years of heritage. Alvi Sidecast reels allow you to cast over 150 yards with up to 900 yards of capacity. Alvi's state-of-the-art drag and 22-inch retrieve rate per wine is perfect for any surf challenge. Alvi reels are manufactured to best practice standards and are in fact so robust that the Alvi also comes with a 10-year salt and sand warranty. For more information, go to alvius.com.
Today's power pole tip is about utilizing your power poles and making yourself fish more patient. Now understand, guys, it's really important that you utilize the power poles to slow your fishing down. The fish are gonna feel a pressure wave even if you're in a technical poling skiff that's very light. So as you approach a small bay, make sure that you power pole down and let that wave go out in front of you. Sit there for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. And what that allows you to do is the fish get used to the pressure of the weight of the boat as it's in the bay. In 2001, when I was first introduced to the power poles, it was in the IFA Redfish Championship, utilizing the power poles and power poling down, fan casting from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock and then around to 3 o'clock, picking up the power poles, moving 60 feet. Utilizing that idea allowed us to come in 5th place in that championship, and that was my first exposure to what made power poles allow me to dissect a bay. So be more patient, don't be in a hurry, and that's today's power pole tip of the week. Whoa. I want you to know,
eyes are burning.
My man Stubby,
he's making
that
good
stuff smells.
No, it doesn't. It's not that bad.
But let's start off with something that really is very impressive.
Yes.
Garmin.
The Garmin Striker Cast. Yep, it's a sonar made simple. It's a GPS sonar unit that you can cast and put it wherever you want. You know, we're stuck with it on a boat. Not anymore. You can cast this thing. You can put it on a 20-pound test rod. You can cast it and see what's, up to 200 feet away. As soon as it hits the water, it turns on, And watch this. It's a sonar.
So look, here we are. This is exactly where we are filming here in the studios. And now you can see the sonar
turned on. It's
now,
crazy.
what's cool about this, Dave, is think of how many people that fish with boats or even off of shorelines are not sure what the contour of the bottom is. So you could put this on a John boat that has no battery and a tiller motor, a boat like
my micro skiff that I don't have any GPS or sonar on.
Correct.
It's just right now, I could sit in an inlet, throw the anchor out, and just let it out and see, what's happening 100 feet up to 200 feet away. With the Bluetooth,
correct.
So you can see up to 200 feet away, what the bottom situation is. If there's fish there, it has a fish markers or range adjustments, just like any other sonar. It's incredible that it all fits in that little thing.
And it's up to 10-hour battery charge.
10-hour batteries, correct.
And the cool part is, I like the fact that now a kayak, canoes,
ice
as
fishing
well
guy,
paddle boards.
If you ever want to do that.
Exactly. $140 for the GPS model and $99, I think, dollars, somewhere around $100 for just the sonar.
Right.
model.
Built-in quick draw contours. You can share spots with other people, and again, it's got a 2D sonar with all the gain, the range, everything you can adjust.
Garmin Marine.
Yep, Garmin.com. Exactly.
Good job, Garmin.
Next, we have Stubby's catfish bait. This is a dough bait, not a punch bait. When you open it up, it's supposed to look just like chocolate chip cookie dough, and that's exactly what this does. If it gets too, you're supposed to keep it fairly cool, under 80 degrees. It's not that stinky.
Why don't you taste it?
I'm not going to eat it because it says not for human consumption. I'm not crazy like you are. But see, it's workable. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't stick to you like
Dave,
a punch bait or any of those other things.
I give you $200.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Come on, Dave.
No.
5?
No, I'm not going to do it.
But you got to swallow.
No, not going to do it. So, if it gets too sticky or whatever, you can just throw some flour on it. If it gets really hot and starts to melt. But this stuff is great. It's heavy, so you can put it on a hook and mold it onto the hook. And because it doesn't stick to you, and it sinks really good. You don't have to use a sinker with it. It's just good stuff, man. And a lot of stink bait you can't touch. This stuff you can touch. You just get some Dawn and wipe it right off. It's really cool.
Hey, if it doesn't, it's going to stop you from biting your fingernails.
Call them at 903-520-3635 or 817-366-5482 and order you some Stubby's catfish bait.
All right, now got the cute clothes.
Yeah,
for
these
the
are Jayla and Jackson swimsuits. These are sun-safe swimsuits. I met Emily Griffin, the lady who makes these, when I was running Marlin University trips on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. She was actually running a giant mothership operation on a boat called the Boss, and I met her husband Daniel at the same time. He was a mate.
So cute.
Hand-drawn designs, from her life at sea. A lot of marlins and sailfish. I think these are the only ones that have marlins and sailfish on them. UPF 50.
This is for the girls.
Yep, great for getting
for the dudes.
Yeah, great for getting the kids outdoors. She's got a lot of different sizes for the little ones. It's.
This makes me want to go have a baby.
Little shorts as well. You got shorts and shirts action.
Oh no!
Yeah, and the little onesie deals.
Dang! Look at that.
Really
You got
cool.
a little drawstring and everything.
Yeah, really neat. Really cool designs. And you can go to jaylaandjackson.com, and if you put in the code TIFR, you get 15% discount.
Nice.
So try that out.
All right.
Last but not least, we've got
another company from down under.
Yeah, we got some we got another really cool Alvy rod and reel combo. These are the Glow Reel Adventurer, the Combo C40X. These are like $99. These are great for little kids. It's a Junior Angler Glow combo. It's got a solid glass 5-foot rod. Like I said, these are glow in the dark. You charge them for 2 hours in the sun.
I saw them
today. And they'll glow for 6 to 8 hours at night. There's a limited number of them, so they got a fiberglass spool. They have a drag. There's 3 different settings on the back. You can have the ratchet on with the drag on, the ratchet on and the drag off, or both of them off. Right. Actually. So and it have nice little drags on there. That thing holds something like 800 yards of 15 or 10 pound test line. so you can put a ton of line on them. But and they cast a long ways, even for little kids to learn. It's really
One
good
last
deal.
thing?
Nope, that's it.
Oh, that's all part of
That's all
Jalen
of
and
it.
Jackson.
Yep, that's Jalen Jackson too. So.
Whew, boy, with this stubbies, we got to keep that away from.
the thing of it
we
is
got to
it-
keep it away from the kids' clothes because Mama's gonna think the kid had an accident.
Exactly, that's for true. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
if you're familiar with stink bait, that's one of the things about this particular
Not that
bait.
bad.
It doesn't smell as much as a lot of them do.
Those clothes are actually for Mia and my
Exactly.
Leo right here. So I told Rick, don't let Dave touch those clothes because they have to come home with me.
How did you get them?
What do you mean?
She's got babies.
Matt Losher is always getting the kids on the fish, and they always have a smile on their face. So let's hear what kind of tips he has for us for the Father's Day weekend ahead in the Startron Middle Fresh region. Go for it, Matt.
All right, Brie. Yeah, I know when my wife hears about these clothes, I know one little boy that's going to be having some of them pretty soon. So thanks for that one.
Mm-hmm.
But, we love talking about the kids. The kids are always so much fun. My best guiding memories are the ones that involve the kids. Whether it's their first fish or their biggest fish, whatever. It's just always a blast taking them fishing. I've had some really great ones over the years, and it's fun to, watch them learn how to catch the fish and just enjoy the outdoors. And the bass fishing these days has become such a mainstream sport. There's so many more kids fishing than ever before. The junior high and the high school bass fishing is blowing up, bigger than we ever imagined. And there are so many opportunities for these kids in the fishing world today. Like I said, especially with the bass fishing, with the tournaments and such. In fact, here at Living the Dream Guide Service, we have a kids fishing summer camp focused on the kids that want to learn more about bass fishing. We take kids ages 12 to 18, and they can be of any skill level. It's the most fun that I have all year, taking these kids out. We do it it's a week-long deal. We take them bass fishing every day, and they get a ton of boat time. We also do some on-the-dock classroom sessions with them, and we bring in some great speakers. It's just a ton of fun. It's like I said, it's my favorite week of the year as far as guiding goes. And, if you have kids that might be interested in coming up to the camp, just look us up at ltd.fish and check out all the information we have there. And, of course, I had to include a photo this week of my son Fisher and I with a big crappie he caught the other day on one of those Panfish Assassin jigs.
Nice. Oh,
He's even
boy.
got a smile on his face. How do you do it?
But he's learning, he's learning to set the hook right now. We're working on it.
Oh,
So
he
cute.
looks great. All right,
Good
tell
job,
us about
Daddy.
the crappie.
All right, so those crappie, man, they're red hot right now here on Toledo Bend. The bigger fish are starting to feed on these summertime spots really heavy. They're stacking up in about 15 to 28 foot of water around stumps and laydowns. And like I've mentioned the past few weeks, we still have a lot of crappie hanging near the bottom due to the current in the lake, but they're still going to be around that wood most of the time. And some are also ganging up higher up in the water column. So just kind of keep an open mind from spot to spot and see where they're at on that spot. And I got another photo here for you of Mr. Lonnie Vanson holding up a big old white crappie he caught with me this week. Real nice one there. And next, we're going to jump over to the white bass and hybrid. They're still biting really good too. Richland Chambers has given up a lot of them, according to Mr. Thurman Selman with Bass and Specialty Guide Service. He says that they are on main lake humps and flats, and they're chasing shad real heavy up there. So go find the bait fish, and you'll probably find those whites and hybrids with them. And here on Toledo Bend, we're still catching a bunch of them as well. Here we like to think about them as taco dinners because they make an excellent fish taco. And we're finding them in about 20 to 30 foot, catching them on minnows and jigging spoons here. Matter of fact, I'm about to go eat some of those fish tacos here when we get it done. Wait. Now, last but certainly not least, the bass, the largemouth bass, they're still kind of all over the board. The water's still high on a lot of our lakes, but it's starting to come down. So things are settling into a summertime pattern. Here at Toledo Bend, the bushes are giving up some really nice-sized fish on the upper end of the lake, and then toward the lower end, they're catching more of the fish offshore. So in the bushes, it's flipping bait, like the Bass Assassin skunk bait are going to be the best, and then offshore, it's a worm or a crankbait kind of deal. Then moving south and west a little bit, Jared Poole reports a really good bite in his part of the Middle Fresh region, down at LBJ and Buchanan. He said that at LBJ, they have a good frog bite going early in the morning around the water willow. And then later in the day, they're using 10-inch worms around rock piles. He mentioned that the water temp at LBJ is up to 84 now, which is about the highest I've seen in the Middle Fresh region so far. So getting pretty warm down there. Now in Lake Buchanan, he said the water's gotten up to 80 degrees there, so it's a little cooler. And they're catching fish on Buchanan by Carolina rigging flats in 18 out to 25 foot of water. And he sent me a photo to go with his report of this real nice 9.5 pounder he caught on Buchanan just a few days ago. Big healthy fish there. And lastly, Jared also mentioned that the boat fishing on LBJ is awesome right now. So if you're looking to beat that daytime summer heat, go see these guys at Hill Country Hammer Guide Service, and they'll show you a good time after dark.
All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Middle Fresh region. He says the crappie are in 15 to 28 feet of water around the wood. The white bass and hybrids are in 20 to 30 feet on clean bottom, and the bass are shallow early, and then they work offshore when the sun gets up.
All right, gentlemen, well, that's our show. Happy Father's Day to you both.
Oh, yeah.
Hope your kids
Forgot all about
shower
it.
you with all of the good
How's that smell?
Father
How's
stuff.
that smell, Brie?
Nasty.
It wasn't, oh my gosh, that is
I
not
want to see
fair
a
to
pregnant
do.
woman throw up.
It's not fair to do. Thank you all for joining us. Go catch those fish. Happy Father's Day. Have a good
Father's
weekend.
Day.
Bye.